Hello students, welcome to online classes of Geography of class 12. This is my second class of your chapter number 7 of the book Fundamentals of Human Geography. In the previous class I discussed about tertiary activity, and today I am going to proceed with the quaternary activities. Now all these activities, whether it is tertiary or quaternary, what is the term we can use it? What activities are they? Are they similar to the production? I am just saying one quote, activities which are different from production of goods and as a result not connected to the processing of the materials, they are called as services. So whether it is tertiary, whether it is quaternary, both of them are connected with the term that is services. Now let us proceed with the topics that I am going to discuss today. People, those who are engaged in tertiary activities, then quaternary activities, types of quaternary activities, then comes quinary activities, and lastly digital divide. Now let us move to the first topic. Those who are engaged in the tertiary activities. Now the best example, people those who are engaged in tertiary activity, the first and the best example that is supporting the tertiary activity is the tourism. So what is tourism actually? Now tourism is actually refers to the service sector that creates a travel, that allows a travel that should be undertaken for the purpose of recreation rather than business, and the industry generates jobs as people are engaged in providing accommodation, meals, transport, entertainment, infrastructure, retail, trading and crafts. So all these comes under the category of tourism. Now what does this indicate? That tourism is highly labor intensive, because nearly 250 million of the people are engaged in this type of tourism sector on this activity. They are altogether they are there either in a part of accommodation, meals, transport, entertainment, infrastructure, trading and crafts. All these as a rough it makes an employment to the 250 million population in the world. And how much does it contributes to the GDP? It contributes 40% to the GDP. So it is not only labor intensive but also support in the various other ways also. I just said what are those, like lots of transportational activities, hotels are there, motels are there, security, entertainment, all comes under the part of the tourism sector. Now I am going to proceed with the next, that is tourist region. Now which are the ideal tourist spots? Now first of all, where we are staying. If we are staying in a tropical areas, we are just there to move to the temperate region. Now throughout the year, like warmer place around the Mediterranean coast or the west coast of India during winters, mountains in summers or winter spots regions found mainly in the mountainous areas. Even we are having tourist spots like historic towns, religious places, heritage sites that offer tourism throughout the year. Now I am going to proceed. So there are many attractions where the tourist regions have been developed according to their that is importance, or according to the specification of any region. Now what are the factors that is basically influence the tourism? Now the first factor is demand. If there is an increased demand, obviously it will influence the standard of living. If there is a demand, it means there is the standard of living is quite high and they are having a quite time to spend on their leisure activities. So that is rise in tourism industry is due to increased in demand. And second is transportation, improved transportation. Now suppose you want to move to that is Andaman Nicobar Island, and you are having very short period of time. So if you are moving with the water transport, so in the meantime your holidays will be over or your vacation period will be over. So you will not be able to enjoy the that is the island group. If the fastest means of transport is not well connected, then obviously the time that is there for the that is the leisure time or the holidays, if it is not not well connected with the fastest means, then we will not be able to that is spend our time or to enjoy or have a recreation time. So another important factor is improvement in transportation that has made travel easier and destinations reachable. Okay, I gave the example of Andaman Nicobar. If you are moving with the air transport, then it will be easy to enjoy the holidays, but if you are moving with the water transport, it is a long duration period of transportation that cannot be too very beneficial, because our time span of the holidays are less. So it is not easily reachable with the help of that is by the water transport. But in terms of trade, the water transport is the best. So here we are not talking about the trade, here we are talking about the tourism industry. Now the next topic related to this is attractions. Which are the places which have been attracted by the tourists? So number one, climate. The place where we are staying, we are just there to move to those areas where the climatic condition is just opposite. If we are there in the cold areas, we will move to the warmer areas. If we are there in the warmer areas, we will move to the cold areas. If we are there, then comes the landscape. If we are there in the low lying areas, we will prefer to move to the mountainous areas, that is the landscape. Then history and art is also having a very much attractive, or the historical importance are having a very much attractive places for the tourists. And then comes the culture and economy. Just giving an example, like the culture of Goa is so very attracted that during the vacations of the winters, Christmas time, the Goa is flooded up with the tourists. Why? Because it is having its own heritage and culture. So in this way, these are the four main attractions, like climate, landscape, history and art, culture and economy. These are the four where tourist peoples or where tourists are basically attracted. Now this comes under the example of the people, those who are engaged in tertiary activity. That means they are rendering the services to the tourists. Now next, a term is there, medical tourism. Now India is one of the leading country in the medical tourism. There are many other countries also, like Thailand is there, Singapore is there, Malaysia is there. All these are Asiatic countries which are just developed as a medical tourism spots. Now world-class hospitals are located in India. Abundant benefits for the developing countries are there. Now it is a abundant benefit. Now when other people who from the different countries are coming for their for their medical purposes, that means we are able to earn the foreign exchange. So we are getting a abundant benefits for the developing countries. It is cheap for developed countries. For them it is cheaper, and for us it is beneficial. It is advantages for the, it is having an advantage for the patients, and for the country like ours, it helps to develop the transportational facilities. Why? Because if it is well knitted, then obviously we will able to attract more patients from worldwide. So what is exactly medical tourism? Medical tourism means that is availed at a much cheaper rates than in the developed nations, and both the nations, that is whether it is developed or developing, they are having the similar facilities, but here it is comparatively cheaper, and side by side it is combined with tourism, that is international tourism. So this is stated as medical tourism. Now next, the next type of activity is quaternary activity. Now quaternary activity means these are the developed form of services. Quaternary activity is considered as a developed form of services. It is entirely knowledge based. It is entirely knowledge based. Now what are its features? Collection, production and dissemination of information. Now just giving an example. What is the work of a teacher or a professor? They collect the matters from various ways. Then they try to produce it to get a proper answer. And lastly, they spread out the knowledge among the children. So what they are doing, they are collecting the information, they are producing in their own manner, and then they are spreading out throughout the within the children. So this is first feature. Second, production of information. They produce the information. Number 3, research and development. They find out the new concepts, they find out new topics, and then the research work is being produced. Specialized knowledge. All the quaternary peoples are having specialized knowledge. Technical skills, they are very much equipped with their technical knowledge. And administrative competence. That means successfully they are able to produce something. So administratively they have to be very much efficient and successful. That is administrative competence. So who are included under the category of quaternary activities? All the white collar workers, all the professional workers, whether it is doctor, lawyer, teacher, professor, whosoever deals up with the knowledge, and which consists of information collection, processing and transmission in any forms. They transmit in any form. Doctors, they have collected the that is what are the diseases, then they produce that how it can be treated, and then they practically doing the work by treating up the patients. So in this way all the white collar workers are engaged under this quaternary activities. Now the last lap of the economic activity, it is features of quinary activity. Now quinary activity is the highest specialized form of activities, okay, economic activities. And if we see the ladder, the lowest lap is the primary activities and the highest lap of the ladder is the quinary activities. Till date there is no such other activity that has been developed or that has been evolved out. So quinary activity is the last lap of the economic activity. Now what is a quinary activity? Actually the services that focuses on the creation, something to be created. Already it has been there in the society, it has to be rearranged and then it has to interpret to find out of new and existing ideas. Some ideas are there present. It has to be created once again, it has to be rearranged to solve out the problems that they are facing with the existing ideas or the policy by doing some sort of research work. That is quinary activities. Now they are considered as gold collar workers. That means they are the supreme of the lot of the knowledge sector, and that is why they are designated as gold collar workers. Now what are their features? They are the decision makers, highest decision makers. Now just giving a best example, Professor Amartya Sen, he makes the policy for the economy. So he comes under the category of the quinary people, okay. It deals with outsourcing. I am going to discuss about what is outsourcing afterwards. I am just proceeding with the feature. It deals with outsourcing, which resulted opening up of the large call centers in different parts of the world. This entire point elaborating in the next slide. Just proceeding with the next features of the quinary activities. These are highly specialized group of economic activities, and who all are involved: administrators, researchers, scientists, law advisors, financial advisors, managers, all comes under this category. The policy makers are basically, simply in one word, quinary people are the policy makers. Now here we got one term, outsourcing. So what is outsourcing? Outsourcing is basically that is an activity that is contracting or giving work to the outside agency. Now, very common term, Coca-Cola, Hero Honda, Maruti Suzuki, Kawasaki Bajaj. Why these names are there? Why don't we say Hero? Why don't we say Coca or Coke in this way? Now there are two companies who have merged up to produce one same type of product. Like Maruti Udyog, simply it is an Indian company, but when it has collaborated with the Japanese company of Suzuki, now they are producing the vehicles, that is the car, four-wheelers, that is Maruti Suzuki. So the work has been outsourced over there because they have contracted the outside agency to give the products to their that is indigenous, that is are for our own country. So this is outsourcing. And why it has been done? So we can improve our efficiency at a low cost. And that is why outsourcing is very much advantageous or beneficial for developing countries. It is most beneficial for the developing countries, and that is why in the developing countries are termed as call centers. Why? Everything is done at a cheaper rate. Now what are its advantages? What are the advantages of outsourcing? It is having a cheap cost. Now here we are getting skilled persons. English language is the communication skill, so it is not a problem, and out migrating countries. So we are able to get the things from the outside, that means they are migrating. From out migrating countries means they are able. Now I am sitting over here and I can do the work for the outside agency present in America. So this is out migrating countries without my physical movement, with my technical skills, with my technical knowledge. And another one is doing the work, that is information technology, ICT. Due to these activities, with the help of ITC or information technology, outsourcing has developed in a large scale for the developing nations. Now there are two types of outsourcing. One is business process outsourcing and another one is knowledge process outsourcing. Now what is business process outsourcing? Now the business process outsourcing involves customer support services, call centers and similar other processes. Now just I gave the example. Suppose we want to make the car. Maruti Udyog was making a car and Suzuki is also making a car in the different. But when they collaborated, now who helped for this collaboration? There are some intermediary people, those who are finding out what is the status of the customer in these countries. So when they find out that the customers are huge in number, so they make a deal and then they collaborated. And then they started producing that similar product for these call centers. This is business process outsourcing. The developed countries transfer these jobs at overhead cost are much lower, making it profitable to the job carried out, to get the job that has to be carried out. Now what I said, if a person is there in Japan to do the work, obviously he will be paid more because as per their own currency. But if the same work is done in India, it's a Japanese people and doing the work in India, over here they will earn more from our country. Why? Because our value of the currency is less and they will be paid according to their value of currency. So they are benefited. So in this way, if this is the way of doing the work, this is termed as business process outsourcing. The similar products of two different countries to be collaborated, and for the betterment of outside agency, they produce these things for the call centers of the developing nations. This is termed as business process outsourcing. Now what is KPO? KPO is knowledge process outsourcing, which involves skilled workers, enable companies and to create additional business opportunities like e-learning, business research and everything. Now sitting over here, I am doing the work for the outside companies. I am using my knowledge to flourish the outside companies. So this is termed as, I gather the data, I gather what is the status of the quality of that particular outside companies, and then I start drawing out the conclusion from those acquired data. So this is knowledge process outsourcing. I am processing my knowledge for the betterment of the agency or the company that is outside. So I am outsourcing my knowledge for the outside agency. So this is knowledge process outsourcing. These are the two types that has evolved out from the quinary activities. Now let us proceed to the last topic, digital divide. Now I said that all these outsourcing is done with the help of information technology. Now what is information technology? It is actually a synthesis of computer and telecommunication. Okay, transmission of the stored and processed information. It is actually information technology. So what is digital divide? Now digital divide means basically everywhere there is no accessibility of this IT sectors or information technology. So where there is a accessibility, where they are able to do the work, they are considered as a developed in the IT sectors. Now what is needed for the digital divide? Availability of information and communication technology, and which is not even throughout the world. It depends upon the government policies, and it is much more well developed in the developed countries compared to the developing countries. So how we have demarcated the countries now, a developed and the developing, with the help of this information communication technology, that is information technology. So this division of a developed and a developing countries on the basis of information communication technology is termed as digital divide. Even in the developing countries, all the metropolitan cities or the mega cities, megalopolis cities are well knitted up with the IT sectors. Now metropolitan cities, mega cities, where we are having the IT hubs, that means that area is totally connected with the information technology, and where there is lack of accessibility, that means that area is demarcated with respect of information technology. So where there is a division due to information technology, that division is termed as digital divide. So your topic or your chapter is completely done from my side. Now it is your work to just note down each and every that is topic in your copy thoroughly, the way I have proceeded. And Wednesday it will be a class for your practical class. I am going to proceed with the second unit of the practical, that is data processing and doubt clearing. So I will inform you by today or positively by tomorrow morning that at what time I am going to conduct the online live classes. Thank you for following my class, and just keep your comments, keep your doubts with yourself so that I can clarify on that day, and thank you for following my class. Have a nice day.